So we got a nice little 3 right here. What was a 3? I don't know how well you can see this here on the back side. Something's ate off one of the prongs. Let's see what we got going on here before we decide on swinging a mattock. An idea which way this root's running. Okay, I'll set up my tripod and we'll dig here. And get that out of the way first. Nothing sucks more than swinging your mattock only to hook it on a saw wire and tear yourself all to hell. Not really been finding any ode saying, but considering the bunches we are finding, I can live with finding bunches like this all day, because it does add up. Not a bad little root. Small topped 3. Right there is where the other prong was for something ate it off of there. Stick that back in the ground and let's continue on. So we have found a few more bunches here, but they look really young. You got a 2 prong right there. A 3 leaf. Looks like a couple of really young 3s and 2s. It's good to see that Ginseng is getting started back in here again. We're gonna move on and leave this stuff alone, but yeah. Really young bunches of Ginseng. That 3 right there, I could probably dig it, but I'm going to leave it. Let's move along, shall we? Well, came up in through this so far, coming back and forth, and didn't really have much luck. But you know, it just comes with the territory when it comes to Ginseng hunting. We're on this side though. We got another nice long deep holler that we're fixing to drop down into. Maybe we'll have a little better luck coming up through that one. I don't know, we'll see. Depending on if we get to finding anything or not. We might call it a day after this holler. But yeah, I'm going to take a lunch break, reassess my situation, and figure out exactly what it is I'm doing from here. Well, you can see that out there. You can see the other mountain ridge. Get a clear point of view before I come out of here. I'll get you a real nice, beautiful shot. But yeah, it's nice. Even if I'm not finding a whole lot, it's nice just to be out of the house, back in the woods doing something other than sitting in front of a computer screen all day or playing some kind of video game. But I'm going to take about a 30-minute break, and then we'll get back to seeing if we can't find anything. So, got a 3-prong here growing out from underneath this log. I'm going to try to dig this. Get some of this stuff cut out of the way and see if I can possibly get up underneath that log and dig that out. Hopefully it'll be worth it. It looks like a fairly decent top. We'll see though. Alright, let's see what we got here. Hopefully I can get up underneath this log and dig this out. From the looks of it, it's kind of sketchy, to be honest. I gotta proceed with caution. This running right up underneath the log like it is. The last thing I really want to do over this 3-prong is stick my hand up underneath here and I'm getting fucking bit by a snake. Because this far back in the mountains, especially if it's a venomous snake, you know, I have a snake bite kit in my my backpack, but you know, God forbid I had to use it. I'm starting to see a curl here. Wow. I was expecting that to look a little better than that, but yeah, that would be a little better than that, all do considering, but it just goes to show you can get fooled very easily. Be awfully nice if I could get around this log. It almost isn't worth it. It's almost a little too much effort for this root from what I'm seeing. It's a very young bunch of ginseng. And I guess it's okay. Every little bit counts, but could have been a lot better. A nice top, at least. Something I was noticing while I was in the process of clearing this out, there is a few young bunches over on the other side of the log. What's got me a little curious about it though is there's nothing big around any of it. And it follows a pattern as if something's came up and seeded. And a small little patch has kind of got started. Two, some more twos, another little two, but you get up above it here and there's not really anything that I could see before I went to dig that. I guess we're going to venture around up around and through here some more just to see what's going on. Got another 3-prong here. Couple of red berries. To be honest, I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to record, but so my battery power is getting awfully low. So after we dig this one, I might hold up on recording for a minute until I find something I feel that's worthy and a little bit more better to share with you guys. But I am going to record me digging this one, and after that I'm going to try to conserve on battery power. I won't record unless I find something that I think is significant enough of actually recording. But clear some of this stuff out away from it and set up. Alright, let's see what we got here. Pretty little top, but it's undoubtedly probably going to be a young bunch. What I can see here, raking around here finding the curl, it's not looking too bad. Now we know the direction that the root's going. Let's grab the O.K.T, bring her out of the ground. Oh, I fucking hate that. Nothing more aggravating than a damn rock. Nothing but rocks. That's okay though. We can get it out of there. It's a lot better than the last one. Nice little hardy bunch. Alright. Let's go ahead and kill this. Move along. So this is pretty funny right here, in all honesty. Would not have found that had it not been for those 3 berries. And a nice little 3. And a few more 3s right down there below it. So I'm just going to dig these and give you a money shot of everything afterwards. There's the one. There's just a berry stem. It's pretty good. And our other little 3s. Just average little fat chunky bunches. Be nice to find 4 at a time like that all the time. It's been a really slow go today. But nonetheless, let's continue on down through here. So, it's getting pretty close to time to wrap it up. I'm going to slowly sing my way back out towards the way I came in. Hopefully, on the way out, we'll find a few more bunches to make this trip worthwhile, because last hollow we went through after finding those 4 bunches together, they ended up being pretty dry and fruitless. So hopefully here on the way out we'll find a little something. But if not, at least we can say we got out and done something today. And finding a little something is better than not doing anything and finding nothing at all. So sit here and take a smoke break, and then slowly sing our way back out through here towards where I came in at. That's a pretty little 3. So dig it up and I'll show you the aftermath here, what we got. Looks like it could have some size to it. We'll know till we get it out of the ground though. And not too shabby of a root. I'll take it. So, we're out of the woods finally. Battery pretty much will shit the bed on me on my camera. We passed due for replacement. It just doesn't keep a charge like it should, so apologize for that last clip there, that 3 that I was digging. Kind of cut off abruptly, but you know, despite the battery going dead, you know, we didn't really have anything of any real significance or major importance happen as we was singing our way out of the woods. You know, not the greatest day in the woods, to be honest, but it wasn't bad either. You know, like I was saying there earlier, better to get out and make an effort and try, and actually find a little something rather than not getting up off your ass and going in the mountains, period, and finding nothing. But I did find a few decent bunches. And you've seen everything there that we dug. So I guess clean everything up and call it a day. Wrap this little adventure up. The old vlog done and out of the way. But yeah, it's good to get out of the house. Helps to get out in the woods a little bit every now and then. Even if you're not finding anything, just walking around in the quietness and the stillness of the mountains. It's kind of therapeutic and relaxing. Need to get out and do it more. The last 2 years, me not getting back in the mountains, needless to say, I'm a little rusty and out of shape. But not to the point to where it's killing me. But yeah, being absent out of the Ginseng woods for a couple of years, to go to events, was it's been an experience I've really missed. But let's get this stuff ready to clean. All you really need is just a bucket, a little water, any old toothbrush that you don't really care to scrap. And considering the day, wasn't really the most biblical day of Ginseng hunting. It's not a complete and total bust. If anything at all, I kind of look at it as like a little early reconnaissance. Because it's still pretty early in the season. Like, season just came in last week, this past Friday. And I was saying that earlier in the vlog this morning when we was going out. Still pretty weedy. We got a lot of vegetation and growth that's normally, be in the process of dying out this time of year. It's still pretty green and lively. So all that all the weediness and the excessive amount of vegetation that's still thriving hit a lot of the Ginseng that we probably missed. So I don't doubt there's a lot more in some of the areas that we just happen to piddle and mosey around through. There's indeed a lot more, but it's pretty hard to spot, especially if all the weeds and the other vegetation is outgrown the top of the Ginseng. Kind of cloaks it and hides it. And a lot of the bunches today that I did find, I probably wouldn't have found had it not been for having fairly decent tops. So yeah, it's still been pretty early in the season. If anything at all, I got a little bit better intel if I do decide to go back in those areas later in the season. And probably wouldn't be a bad idea, especially in another 3 to 4 weeks, to go back and not retrace my exact paths and steps that I chose today, But kind of go around in the general area and vicinity of a few of the spots I did hit. You know, I have my choice of going high or low in those particular sections of the mountain. It just depends on how I feel about it whenever it comes time to cross that bridge. But based on what I've seen just today, just piddling, romping around through the weeds and crossing the ridges and points, going in all them deep hollers and whatnot, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go back to the area in a couple more weeks once some of the vegetation has started dying off. Plenty of young bunches. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't dig, which, you know, it's not really a sad face kind of thing. If anything at all, it's kind of a joyful thing to see that Ginseng is actually recultivating and getting started back in the area, which it should. If you follow the guidelines and the laws for harvesting ginseng, and you're not digging out of season, and berries are actually getting enough time to mature and ripen, so plants can reproduce. So it's good to know that last couple years that I have been going, what seeds that I have been sowing and replanting and just scattering from the various bunches that I found throughout the past few years of going in and out of that area are actually starting to sprout and take root. So, you know, a couple of decades from now, I'm still around this area and still physically able to do this, because I mean, you never know what the future is going to bring. You're not really guaranteed your health, let alone your life, from one day to the next, so you should count that as a blessing. Each and every day you're able to get up and go out and do what you enjoy doing, and enjoying what few freedoms we do have left to enjoy. But it's a whole other story. Let's not get into that whole realm of spectrum. But if anything at all in the next 15 to 20 years, provided that some asshole, an inconsiderate, greedy prick or pricks happen to venture through there, there should be some pretty good patches started, providing that they seed. And anything that has a majorly big top that's coming up early, pretty good chance deers are beating me to that. They have a hankering and an appetite for ginseng tops. I've seen a lot of deer trails today, all the signs of where deer had been through, and something I hope I don't run into back in the mountains is bears. I've seen a lot of signs of where bears had been tearing up stumps and falling down rotted trees. You know, rooting around, clawing around in them old dead, rotten, fallen trees for grubs. And surprisingly, I didn't get one yellow jacket's nest today, so that's a plus. But I did see a few spots where it appeared maybe black bear or foxes have tried to dig a couple nests up out of the ground. Did have almost one close encounter with a nest, but I spotted it before I got into it. It had been partially dug up. You know, I'm not so much as worried about bears in the mountains. I mean, a lot of the time the bears around here are kind of, I'm not gonna say they're not fierce, but at the same time, they're kind of a. Just say if you make enough noise, they will go and run the other way. But I think two of my main major concerns and worries about being back in the mountains, especially going along, is rattlesnakes and copperheads. And yellow jackets to an extent. You know, I'm not really allergic to wasp. and hornets or anything, but if you happen to accidentally get into a ground nest and get lit up about, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna have to kill this for a minute until this AC turns off. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that interruption of AC kicking on there. But, fuck, I forgot where I was even at. Well, anyway, considering, you know, the amount of hours I walked around, you know, most people would probably get a little discouraged, you know, covering that much ground. And, not really finding a whole lot. I myself, I don't really care. I mean, it just comes with the territory. Just all part of the foraging experience. Like I said, I got a little bit of better idea of some of the areas that I might want to just bypass later along in the season, and a few spots that I might want to actually go back to and kind of you know, comb and scour a little bit. And the wild thing is, I didn't even really cover, I probably didn't even cover a quarter of the woods that I could have went and foraged in. I mean, the area I was at, you know, from what little bit I shot, it's pretty deep woods. There's a lot of deep hollers. There's a few flats and rock cliffs and whatnot up in there. I mean, there's plenty of areas that we could go back and try again some other time. But overall, I can't really complain with what we found. Had some pretty looking bunches. You know, they're nothing massive. You know, nothing extremely old. But the bunches that we did find, you know, they're nice, hardy, healthy, mature bunches. And digging stuff like this, of this, you know, this average, fair decent size, you know, it will all add up and accumulate in time. So, well, you know, even if I can't have a good run of it on a single day where I have enough to just take in wet and get what I want, you know, maybe combination of a good day of going and digging a pretty good little quantity wet and taking in what I have dried in at the same time will be enough to finance the trip for Danger Fest the next few weeks. Pretty nice little route. I did find a few roots, as you saw there. They weren't really bad. I mean, a lot of it just average run-of-the-mill saying that you'd normally find. As far as I could tell, I couldn't see any signs of where anybody had been in there this year other than me. You know, being out of the Ginseng foraging thing for the last 2 years, you know, it's probably untelling who all has probably been in the area that I've went. But you know, they can't find it all. I don't care how good of a sing hunter you are, you can't dig it all. Prime example, we went the other day, there's a rock bar in one of the hollers that I don't care, just about every time I go through that area in that holler and get on that right side of that holler, that rock bar rock bar usually yields some pretty decent bunches. Found a small patch there the other day, and they're all average, fair bunches. I was hoping I'd find something that hadn't been up in a few years. So I know, well, not the year before, I think it was the year before last I went in there. And, you know, despite being in there, you know, more than a few times, happened to found something in that exact same area that wasn't up the year previously before when I went. I didn't luck up this year at finding anything, but who knows, there might still be a couple of them massive 4 to 9 ounce roots still lurking in the ground, just waiting to sprout up. I couldn't see any signs of where anybody had been in there this year. Wouldn't be surprised in the least bit there last year if there had been some individuals to actually go in there and forage a little bit. I mean, the area is, as far as like common herbs in that area that we were in, there's a lot of black cohosh that can be dug. There are some wild yam. There's a variety of different things like cranesbill. And if you're into stripping bark and you know, collecting leaves, there's a shit ton of sassafras groves all over back in that place. But I never really fooled with leaves and bark. Well, I mean, I played around with witch hazel a little bit. I mean, you can make some money off of witch hazel. But, it's not like the idea of having to skin a tree to get the bark, and then, you know, the tree, you know, ends up dying. So, not really appealing to me. I mean, witch hazels eventually get to a certain size and die out on their own accord anyway, but I don't know, I just never really was into rousing and peeling bark. You can make money off of it. Witch hazel, slippery elm, wild cherry. There's a variety of different barks you can peel, rouse off the trees. Well, we about got our bunches cleaned here. You don't want to over clean this stuff. If you get it too clean, they won't take it. They at least want to be able to see that it is natural. It's not domesticatedly grown, cultivated saying. So a lot of people have asked me that before. Well, can't you just collect a couple of berries and sow and just kind of have a little saying garden? Yeah, you can, but you don't want to do any fertilize, pesticides, or anything like that. You just want it to grow wild and naturally. Let it do its own thing. You can tell if saying has been domesticated and been given a little boost. I get done cleaning these. I'll show you a prime example of what I'm talking about. But some things generally look for to see if saying is actually wild and not domesticated and you know, grown with fertilizer and a few other things, is the firmness of the root. A lot of cultivated saying is really puffy and mushy. It won't have that firm hardness to it. Something else it will be lacking, which, I mean, it will have size, I grant you that, granted that you know what you're doing, and depending on how long you let it go. But the one other thing that will be lacking is rings that go around the root. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll get this next root cleaned up here and I'll show you. Looks about right to me. I don't see any need to overkill that any further. Alright, this would be a good example of what I'm talking about with them rings. So one of these right here have a pretty good thing I'm talking about as far as a visual goes when it comes to description of how you can spot the difference between wild, naturally growing Ginseng that's been harvested out of the mountains and the woods as a comparison to what's domesticated and grown and, you know, pampered and babied in a garden or something in the woods behind your house. Now actually, before I clean this up, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. You can see those rings going around the root. Ginseng that's normally domesticated and grown unnaturally won't have those rings. It will be very smooth, really puffy. Like I can't even mush this in. You know, I'm pressing pretty hard on it and the root's not giving. So it's a pretty firm bunch. Cultivated Ginseng that's grown and domesticated under unnatural ways and sources will always be smooth. It will be lacking in the rings, and though it will have a lot of size to it, it'll be very puffy. It'll lose a lot of weight when it dries, and it won't be as potent. And a lot of people will argue, well, you know, you figure if you fertilize and baby something, it will have potency. But it's not necessarily always true. But there's just something about Ginseng that grows in the wild that's harvested from the wild that's not domesticated. I think it has a more natural, potent effect. But that's just my opinion. I don't claim to be the expert. But yeah, you get an idea what I'm talking about there, those rings in the root. Though you can get money for cultivating Ginseng, you won't get as much out of it as you would harvesting and foraging naturally growing Ginseng in the wild. Plus, which you know, I mean, I don't really see anybody in their right mind doing it, but you know, this day and age, you can't put nothing past anybody. One were to order some seeds to start their own little garden and patch up. You have to be very discreet and quiet about it. For the sole fact, if somebody knew that you were doing it, you would have to grow it in a disclosed location. You couldn't let nobody know. I mean, you'd have to be very careful about who you let know that you were doing it, because the moment somebody found out that that's the thing that you're doing, they will rob you blind. And just hypothetically speaking, let's say, you had ordered seeds, you started your own little patch, I don't know, 20 years ago, you've been babying the shit out of it, and somebody finds out that you got it, there's 20 years wasted, and what harvest you would have had, that's down the drain. But anyway, we got this thing clean. About a pocket full. This day and age around these parts, if you're able to go out and dig a pocket full just playing around, that's not a bad day. And like I said, that doesn't really discourage me or dishearten me any, make me not want to go anymore this season. Anything at all, that's just a little intel what it might look like a little later in the season once some of the more weedier areas start clearing off, once the vegetation dies off a bit more. But yeah, I think it's going to pretty much all conclude it for this this vlog. It's probably going to end up being a two-parter, so hope y'all enjoyed. No, it's not any knife throwing, it's something different, Sometimes you just got to get out and do different things to escape the monotony and the repetitiveness of routines you get trapped in. This is something I really would like to get back to doing on a regular every year once the season comes around. Which, considering, when season comes in, I may have to sacrifice going to a few events. But, it is what it is. And plus, this is something that me and my uncle used to do quite often, every year. And it's something I'd really like to get back to doing with him. So maybe the next vlog I do on ginsenging, just getting out in the woods, messing around. You might get to see the good old legendary Uncle Joe that I talk about a lot on Facebook. But I'm Justin James, the Outlaw Knife Thrower. Hope y'all enjoyed, and have a good one. Catch you guys later.